have to mess with where things are on the stream. So this needs to go over here, and this needs to go over here for the chat, which is now too tall. Do that. Alright, that looks fine. Let's make this over here. Oh wow, that's really narrow. No. Right there. I need like a line in my background right here that shows me where that edge is. Alright. Let's say that's good. Alright, so today, who we got with me? First thing I want to do is publish an update to specification. So, I don't think anybody's here. It's just me. Oh wait, there's people. Shady's saying hello. Alright, cool. Let's go. Use Microsoft Power Toys for the screen. I haven't used that. What will that do for me? Can I draw a line on it? Overview. What can I do? Color pickers, zones. Zones I might want with different layouts. If I just make it so that there's a layout there I don't want. I could also just open up Notepad and throw it there and leave that in the background, probably. Yeah. Let me try that Notepad hack. So there's Notepad right there. We go there. And we come down here. That's too far. Right there. I say chat goes here. How about that? Does that work? There we go. See, that's it's even fancier than Power Toys. Alright, I'll look into Power Toys some other time. I think we're good on this. Hopefully the size is big enough that people can see it. We cannot see the words. What words can you not see? The chat or the regular browser? Let me bring this up again. Alright, so if I'm in here, and I make this full screen, and I'll put, actually, hang on, I don't want that full screen, I want that over here, and then I'll make it full screen. I see the words. What words? Oh, the chat is just doing ... That's not helpful. Alright, I see what you're saying. Let's get OBS back in this thing. It's like I made it too tight. No, it's wider. So this has to be wider. Oh, I see, because it's white on black. That's why. Alright, so the Notepad idea was dumb. Right, get rid of the Notepad. Now we can see the white on black. Alright, that's better. I gotcha. Okay, let's put this back where it was. That's better there. So maybe your zones idea is better. There we go. Hey, John Calloway. How's it going? So this can go right here. If I just put Winamp right at the edge of the chat, then it reminds me that that's where the edge is. So that works. Okay. I need to find the left edge of this thing. There's that, and there's that. I caused myself a lot of problems by trying to have the chat in the video. I suppose I could just do away with that, but I think it's potentially helpful in the recordings on YouTube to be able to see what people are saying. So we'll keep trying to make it work. Alright, so we added take and skip. For those of you that missed last week, Mr. Callaway here was asking about how to use paging to just show like the top 5 items of a collection. And you could do that. You could just say, give me page 0 and show me, 5 items off that page. But we had an issue that was open here, and we decided we'd just expose take and skip, and we'll kind of mark paginate as obsolete, and in a future version we'll get rid of it. So this is already checked in. I just haven't released a new version. So the latest version of specification is 4.00. And there's up to 16,000 downloads. That's not bad. So this is a non-breaking change, but it does add a new feature, sort of. So I think that's like a point release, let's say. It should only be on specification, I believe. Yeah. So I can actually make this update right in GitHub, I think. Let's see if that's true. And if I break it, then the build should break, and I shouldn't have to worry about it accidentally going out. But if we just do 4.1 right here, and we add some release notes that says adding skip and take, marking paginate as obsolete. Alright, then that should work, right? Let's see, I should probably not be watching myself stream in a separate window. That's just going to kill my bandwidth. So now that looks good, I'm going to close that. And anybody have any issue with this? This should be good, right? Publish version 4.1. Update to version 4.1.0. Let's do it. Cool, John. You should be able to do that like during this stream if things work well. So now that should trigger our GitHub action. There's going to be a build followed by a publish. Let's look at the publish. So this will be quick. It's got warnings that things are obsolete. That's to be expected. We just marked it up. Oh, it failed. Alright, what did I do wrong? Do I have mark warnings as errors? Because that would cause it to fail. Generate package, execute this. Forbidden. So for some reason I don't have permission. Specified API key is invalid or expired. Alright, that's fine. I know how to fix that. So let me, in another window, go to nuget.org, and we'll sign in. Go look at my API keys for, what is the specification? There should be. This one expires in 9 months, and it's supposed to work. Alright, why would that not work? I don't already have a version 4.1 out there for specification. Alright, well, here's what I'm looking at. I've got Ardalis specification, expires in 9 months, should work for Ardalis.star. I think that might be my problem. I changed that. I think it just needs to be Ardalis specification star. I think that's what I need to do. Because if I do .star, see, it doesn't affect specification without a dot. So that's why I messed up. So you want to have that just be a star. It'll still hit both of these. So edit that. That should do it actually. So we'll pull that back over here. And I'd like to rerun this job. Let's see, rerun the job. Meanwhile, the actual build is still running. Let's see. Publish. This one thinks it published. I don't believe it. Oh, that was 4 days ago. Alright. Publish, publish. Alright, here's our build. This one's running tests and everything. Oh, that's right. It's using Docker for all its tests, so that's going to take a while. So this actually spins up SQL Server and runs all the tests against SQL Server in Docker, which you can see it doing right here as it's running. But that's running side by side from the publish, and that's because I did my publish directly to master. So now I think we might have published. Let's go check it out. So here, search for Ardalis.specification. There it is. And there it is. A minute ago, it's validating. So it doesn't show up for anybody else, but it'll be there momentarily for everybody. As soon as it says listed, which usually takes about a minute. Alright, so that was easy. Tony, what got you into DDD and how did you learn it? Have you ever taken an Evans Vernon workshop? What did get me into it? It's been a long time. I read the book by Eric Evans a long time ago, probably, I don't know, 2007. So I got into like extreme programming and TDD and a lot of the stuff that, you know, like software craftsmanship related stuff. Probably around 2005, I'd say, maybe even a little bit earlier. And I was into things like continuous integration, which was new back then. That wasn't commonplace, at least not in Microsoft land. And DDD kind of naturally fit into that, because as I started learning about how to write tests and how to test that the business logic was correct, I was very much looking to put that code somewhere that I could test it. And I was running into a problem where my actual application that I was building at the time for my company was an online ad server. And so I had to test things like, you know, targeting advertisements was working correctly, and, you know, the management web application where you could manage campaigns and target them to different publishers and things like that, that all that worked. And so I was into automated testing, but it was really painful trying to do all this testing with the database, which is the only way I knew how to do it, because I wasn't structuring my applications the way I do now. I didn't do dependency injection. I didn't have clean architecture, solid principles. I didn't know any of that stuff. So as I started to learn about extreme programming and solid, domain-driven design just became a natural next thing, because it kind of focuses on build the actual business logic in your code in a way that's easy to test with unit tests without dependencies. And so that's kind of what I recall of how I got into it. Did not take a workshop. Haven't taken a workshop from Evans or Vernon. Haven't seen a lot of talks at a lot of conferences, but I haven't done a paid workshop for DDD before now. So hopefully that answers your question, Tony. Alright, I think we're done with this. The other thing I was thinking I would do with specification, and potentially other projects as well, is add GitHub pages to it. So I was thinking for, as far as showing samples and things like that, it'd be nicer if I had a GitHub pages site for it than just a README file. So I haven't done a lot with GitHub pages before. I'm not sure I've created one for real ever, so I think I've created them and thrown them away before. So I don't know. Some of you probably have more experience with them than I have, but I was looking at this and thinking, why not set it up for specification and put the documentation there. So they have a nice step-by-step way to do it, it looks like. So I think for this we just go into settings, find GitHub pages, and go from there. So let's see what that looks like. So I'm in specification. Let's go to settings. Hey, thank you for the following Zeta WAP. Pages. Where would GitHub pages be? Down where? I should put a social preview button on this. I should do that. Okay, but let's not get distracted. So scroll down to the GitHub pages section. Okay, yeah. No. Hey, sure, sponsor that. Why not? Everything's checked. I don't see pages here, unless I'm being blind. Merge, archive. Oh, there it is. Pages. Bam. Alright. Source. None. Master. Wait, no, that's probably not what I want. What do I want? GitHub pages is disabled. Select a source. Select a theme. Where should I put GitHub pages? Is master where I want it? Or should it be its own? I guess master is fine. And then I could have like a docs folder. I already have a docs folder, don't I? Let's duplicate this and look at it. If any of you guys have done GitHub pages on a GitHub repo and you have thoughts on that, so it looks like I don't have a docs folder, so it's suggesting that. So this would be a nice place to tell me more guidance of what I should do here. But it doesn't. So I think docs works. Let's do that. Save, I guess. I want to pick a theme, but that save button was jumping out at me like I needed to hit it. So now let's choose a theme. And do I want colorful? Do I want a hacker theme? Midnight theme? I think a darker theme would be better than a bright one. Tactile. It just feels right. Let's try midnight. I hope that I can change my mind later on this. Okay, welcome to GitHub pages, blah blah blah. Let's see, what does this tell me? Pick the theme, edit the content, JL deck, new pages site, and then commit it. Alright, so let's do welcome to GitHub pages. Am I on a treadmill? I am on a treadmill. Look at my bot answering for me. So this is all fine. Let's just commit this thing. So let's see. Adding GitHub pages. Commit. Now I'm going to have to change my my build so it doesn't automatically try and build every time I commit to a docs, because right now that's going to probably happen. So if I look at my actions, yeah, it's over here trying to do continuous integration on the whole site, even though all I did was add a page. So we can go in here and we can say ASP.NET Core on push GitHub actions exclude folder. Paths ignore. Paths dash ignore docs. Right? On whatever paths ignore colon. Let's see if that works. On push. Paths ignore. Has to be tabbed in. You don't like that. Do I have to tab it twice? Let's try this syntax. push, colon, paths ignore, colon, looks like indent 2, and this is literally what I want right here. So let's try that whole thing. For this. Cool. Alright, start commit, update, ignore docs for ASP.NET Core build. And try that. And hopefully that will make it so I'm not doing more builds. Of course it's doing a CI build on that, but that's okay because I actually changed that file. So the trick will be to see if modifying a page results in another build. So let's keep this open on actions. And these builds take about 3 minutes, so these will be catching up in a second. This will be done, this will be done. And let's see if I add another thing to docs here. We edit our index, and we say here, why doesn't it start with a level 1 heading? That's weird. And also, how do I get to the actual page with this thing? There should be a link to it. Well, for now, let's just say Ardalis.specification. View this. View the repo, or view the docs. And the repo is here. There, and the docs are somewhere else. And where's my GitHub pages? You're going to tell me it's right there. There's no S there? Come on, GitHub. It better be an HTTPS. I should update that. I wonder if there's a way for me to pull request this link. I don't know where this comes from. Maybe I'll screenshot it and tweet it at him. I'm hoping that's an S, and this should be Ardalis github.io/specification. Maybe. Alright, so let's try that. And updating GitHub pages, homepage. Commit that. Control K is a shortcut to add links in Markdown. That's good to know. I'll try that. Let's see. Preview. Control K. No. Yeah, not in Chrome. It's not. Apparently that's search Google. Yeah. Maybe in VS Code, Tony? I mean, most people don't normally spend their time in GitHub doing their editing in a browser, but alright, let's see. View the docs 404. Alright, so maybe it really wasn't a bug and it really is HTTP? No. This site does not contain a requested file. And you're done. Fire up a browser, go to that. You think I'm done. Okay, this is not building. That's good. So we get that working. Steve Smith. Okay, so I have that going for me. But shouldn't this... Is it case sensitive? Ooh, it might be case sensitive. That would be unfortunate. Yeah, that sucks. Alright. GitHub pages, case sensitive. You can't, it's not possible. Having URLs is a web standard, blah blah blah. Make sure pages in Jekyll are always lowercase. Well, that's hard to do when my frickin' project name is already out there. fine. I want to just do a redirect though. So GitHub pages redirect lowercase project name. Is that a thing? Well, you know, as long as people aren't just typing in themselves, it'll be fine. So we'll just leave it alone. Okay, so we've got, this works. And somehow, oh, it's showing me my default info up here. Okay, cool. Okay, so I could take what I've got in my README and start to move it over here, potentially. Does our theme support anything cool, like a table of contents or anything? No, not really. So I just make this one big giant scrolling page. Of course the docs link doesn't work because I did that case wrong. So let's fix that. Alright, so on here, specification, blah blah blah. Alright, that's my H1 probably, so that's why these are H2s. So probably want to have like getting started or something here. So this can be installing, let's say. User editor, page one gets done. Okay, that's all fine. Install Ardalis.specification from NuGet. The latest version is available here. So let's go find nuget.org, whack Ardalis.specification. Maybe that one's case sensitive too. Oh, packages slash. Alright. Let's go there. Alternately add it to a project using this CLI command. And we can steal this right from here because it tells us how to do it with the .NET CLI right there. Copy that. I don't care about the version. So drop the version. And it's good enough for now. Add download instructions. Commit. Now how fast is this Jekyll thing that it runs? Not instant. There's no way to watch it either that I can tell. Control K only works in issues and comments. Oh, that's too bad. It's probably similar to the enhancement they have for adding images. You can just Control V an image into an issue or a comment, but not into just a random markdown file that you're editing. And there it is. Alright, so there's my link. Okay. What else do I want to tell them about the thing? Let's go back here. Let's go to there. This is not case sensitive. I should probably say what it is. Installing. Probably makes sense to say what it is. So, overview. specification pattern encapsulates query logic in its own class, reducing what? What does that do for you? Which helps classes follow single responsibility principle and promotes reuse of common queries. Specifications can be independently unit tested, and when combined with the repository, help keep the repository from growing with many additional custom query methods. That's probably sufficient. Specification is commonly used on projects that leverage domain-driven design. Good enough. Add overview or whatever that was. Commit. What kind of kata are you thinking about for today? Oh, I'm looking at doing something with the greed kata actually. So let's say specification is good to go. We've got some docs. Let's add something to the README that links to the page. So here's my page. Let's go back to the README here, and then let's move on. So specification, blah blah blah, NuGet. Read the documentation. Obviously that's not done. Commit. Alright, we'll say specification is done. Get rid of that and that and that, and then we want to look at this result thing. So, and then as far as the question you're asking, Tony, kata catalog I have here, and I wanted to TDD the greed kata, which if you want to pull this down and play with it yourself for a few minutes, that would be good. I have a walkthrough on Pluralsight from the rules pattern, and that's what this links to. And I'm in the process of redoing that Pluralsight course. So it'll be its own separate Pluralsight course when it gets published. It's actually due in about a week and a half. I don't know if I'll get it done that fast, but that's the goal. And then what I'm working on here, hopefully I can apply some of it to that exercise. I'll take the code when I'm done. So yeah, so the greed is basically like Yahtzee. It's a dice game. So you throw a bunch of dice and then you try and get points based on pulling out combinations of dice. So in this case you roll 5 dice for the start of the kata and try and figure out what your score is. And so you're just writing a greed scorer that calculates the maximum score that you would get from a given roll based on these rules. Here's some examples. Those could be unit tests that you write, that you know what the results already are, and once you have all that working, then implement these. And that's where it gets a little harder. Like, these are pretty easy. You can just do it with maybe some if-then logic. But then when you want to go to add this, where now you may throw any number of different dice and you have all these other additional rules, your initial solution may not work, and you might need to refactor it to make it better. Alright. So I'm going to try and get to that in a few minutes, but I wanted to look at this these pull requests that Shading AE did for me. See here? I don't see him here today. He was here. I don't see him now. I don't know. Maybe he had to go. Anyway, cool. Alright. So, Shady Niggy was working on this result type, and the result type as it stands currently, without his changes, is really pretty simple. And it looks like this, and it includes the type of the thing. And I don't know that I needed that for anything in particular. Oh, you are here. There you are. You're not showing up on my list of people in the chat room for some reason. Oh, there you are. I got you now. Cool. Anyway, this value type thing became a challenge because when you serialize this, if you actually take a result and want to send it over the wire, serializing this is like 10K of JSON because it's this huge massive thing with lots of information about the type that no client probably ever wants. But because this is implemented as an inline function, there was no way to not serialize it, right? So we wanted to put a setter on this so that you could choose whether or not you wanted to serialize it. So let me get this thing open. Yeah. Someday I'll fix up Independ. My license expired. Ardalis.result. We are here. Now, is there an easy way to pull out a pull request in here, I wonder? There's the developer PowerShell terminal. That's nice. You're not in the right folder, though. I'd really like you better if you were in my folder with this project. There you go. Okay, so we're up to date on master. Now how do I get his pull request? Is there a way to do that here? I can create a pull request. Is there a way to do it here? Pull requests. Assigned to me. Oh, there we go. And it's number 46. That's number 45. You would think 45 would come before 46, but 828.502, 828.615. Alright, let's look at this one first. Okay, you're just going to show me a link? I thought you would check it out for me. Visual Studio just crashed because I resized the window. Let's try that again. Resize the window. There we go. Okay. What branch am I on, Visual Studio? Alright, I'm still on master. So if I say pull request, and I say 46, 45, let's say 45. I don't want you to open it up in the browser. I want you to check that out. But you want to open up the browser. Command line instructions. So I can do that. Alright, try that. Come over here, paste that in. Switch to branch Shady Niggy patch 1. Okay. Now I do want to look at the browser. What did we change? File change should just be the README, right? Result fluent validation. That's good. Is that thing out there already? It is, right? Yeah, fluent validation 10 days ago. 45 downloads. Alright. And so we're going to add a link to that. We can use this. Here's how. Okay, that looks fine. Prove that. Merge that. Okay. Probably didn't need to check that one out locally. This is the one I wanted to look at. So, update the branch. That's just the README file. Command line instructions. I just want that. Okay, so we mostly just touched result.cs, which is fine. So if we go find result.cs, we were going to be able to show value type with a private setter. Why do you want it to be a private setter? Clear value type. Okay. But you're only doing so that when we serialize, it's empty. Okay, I suppose we can do that. That doesn't look like it really hurts anything. I'm still not sure. I think results should be serialized. Like, that's not normally how it's meant to be used. But I don't think this really hurts anything. 302, okay, that's fine. So why did you add a separate clear method instead of just letting it be set to anything? Result, value not equal value type. Alright, so you just set that when you create it, that's fine. This only has a getter, this only gets set once. Yeah, that looks fine. Let's do it. Alright, so then this should trigger a build and a publish. Publish to NuGet. And in a few minutes we should have a 3.0.2, I think. Alright, so then let's let that go. We're done with result. We'll be done with, we'll keep that for now. Keep that for now. Get rid of that. And let's go over here. Let's get a kata started. And let's see if I already have something for greed that I might reuse. Design patterns, it's not that. Doesn't look like I do. So I'll just create a new one. New. This will be greed kata attempts. Working on the greed kata using C#. This will be public. We'll add a readme. We'll add a getignore with a Visual Studio template. We'll let anybody have access to this that wants it. I shouldn't need any of that. We'll create this. And we're all set. I want to copy this down. So copy that. And then we can go create the actual solution and get PowerShell going. So here's PowerShell. Go to dev, go to GitHub, create a new clone of that thing. Go to it. Now we can do .NET new question mark. And I want to create a new solution, I think. So I want to say, aren't you going to show me all the things? There we go. Blank solution is just SLN, right? .NET new SLN. Maybe let me set the name like this. No. Fine. Let's do that. Should name it the same as my folder. So there it is. Greed kata attempts.sln. See, how can I add a project in a subfolder? Because I want to do a .NET New XUnit test project, and I want to do a .NET New class lib. Well, no, we'll just do a test project. We're going to need multiple projects. So let's just do make your source, cd source, .NET New XUnit. Greed kata attempt 1. There's gotta be a way to say dash name or something, right? Yeah, dash n. Dash n. There. Okay. There it is. Let's do that. Open the solution. There's a way to add the project from the command line, but I don't remember what it is. So we're just going to say add existing project, GitHub, greed kata, source, attempt 1, there it is. Alright, so now let me shrink this down a little bit, and let's get rid of this. Oh, that actually went to the right place this time. That's nice. So I can kind of start to use Visual Studio like I would use VS Code at that point, because I could have a .NET test running continuously in there if I wanted to. Let's make this a little smaller. And we're going to want another class. Let's go look at our instructions. Alright, instructions. I'll paste them in the chat. Anybody working on this themselves? Alright, greed is a dice game. Write a scoring method that calculates the best score given a roll in the following set of rules. Now eventually I want this to be for a rules pattern Pluralsight course. So I'm going to create a bunch of actual rule types. I'm going to create a rule engine that takes those types and evaluates them and returns back some score. But I'm not going to do that initially. I want to start with something simpler and then refactor to do that. So the simplest thing is that we want to be able to say that if I score something and it has a 1 in it and a bunch of other stuff, or even just nothing, like just literally one die has a 1, then it's worth 100 points. So that's a good place to start from a TDD standpoint. Now I could write the test without the class and without the method and have it break the compiler and all that, but that just wastes time as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just going to create the thing greed scorer as a class and public int score dice score roll, and then here I could take in an array of something or a list. Sometimes I'll do a params array where I could pass in. Let's do that. Params int die values. Let's try that. Returns 0. Okay, so there's my scorer. I'm going to control dot and move that to its own class. Now then, we'll open that and we'll make it its own separate vertical document. So I don't need Solution Explorer taking up room anymore. Alright. Over here, now we're going to write some tests for this method. So we have greed scorer score roll is the name of our class. And then we're going to say what it does. Well, it returns 100 given single 1. Var scorer equals new greed score var result equals score dot score roll 1 assert dot equal. Should we add fluent assertions? Let's add fluent assertions. So let's go over here, manage NuGet packages, browse, fluent assertions, there, install. Okay, hopefully that worked. Build. What? Done at framework v5. I don't want framework v5. What did I just tell you to download? Is this like a pre-release? Let's see, let me rename this file. And let's build this again. Reference assemblies for .NET Framework version 5 were not found. Why? Why would I have that? I blame that. Oh, I'm using the wrong version of Visual Studio and I installed the latest version of .NET 5. That's my fault. This can be .NET 3.1. Can't find 3.1 either. .NET Core 3.1. Is that what it is? This is what I get for using the CLI. .NET TFM .NET Core 3.1 Target Frameworks .NET Core App. It's really a library though, isn't it? So I can really just do .NET Standard 2.1. It's probably fine. Not trying to run this thing. So for a code library that I'm going to run XUnit in, this should be enough. Don't need any of this stuff. Do I? Targets file. Okay, now it's happy. So get rid of that. Alright, now let's turn on live unit testing while we're at it, because that is actually pretty handy. So test, live unit testing, start. And this should show us now with little green check marks what all is running. And this should say result dot should equal. How do you do fluent assertions? Do I have to say assert that? Yeah, alright, assert that result dot no. Fine, I'll do assert equal for now. I'll fix it in a minute. Assert equal 100 actual is result. Why are you excluded? Live unit tests include. Right, why is this thing excluded? Live unit tests include. You're just ignoring. Alright, well maybe we won't use live unit testing. Stop. Build. Rebuild. Let's try it one more time, see if it wants to cooperate. Blah, blah, blah. What's it saying here? Live unit testing. Stop started. Please publish your test project. Alright. I don't want to have to publish it. So let's just not use that. Stop. And we'll just do the regular old build. Run tests. Okay, it doesn't like that either. So what is your problem? Line 10. What about line 10? Unable to find this test host.dll. Apparently when I do .NET New, it doesn't add the whatchamacallit thing the XUnit needs. So I need to add a NuGet package for XUnit. So I never do it from the CLI, that's why this is biting me. XUnit runner MS build, maybe that. There's a Visual Studio runner. XUnit.runners. This user's upgrading. This package empty package. Runner reporters, don't need that. MS build, that might be good enough. Let's try XUnit.runner. I'm not using MS build, am I? So Visual Studio, that should be what I need. That says that's installed. How about console? Let's install that one too. And updates. XUnit Runner Visual Studio was restored using 4.6.1, but you're using 4.7.1. It may not be compatible. Well, let's hope that it is. Where's my terminal at? Here it is. Try now. Nope. Why does it want me to publish? I've never had to do that before. That's just weird. No, that didn't work either. Huh. Total of one test file matched. Can't find testhost.dll. Maybe it does have to be an app. I thought it could just be a library, but maybe your test projects need to be apps. That could be what's causing the problem. Netcore app. If I do netcore app 3.1, maybe it'll work. That's better. All right, now we're working. All right, so I just set the wrong project type. It was my fault. No matter what the problem was, it was my fault. Okay, so here I should be able to say run test. I said debug, but that's fine. And it blew up. Assert equal fail. Perfect. That's what we want. All right, so if we do fluent assertions, I would be able to say assert that. It's not assert that, is it? All right, fine. I'm going to Google it. All right, start with the thing, then say should. Okay, fine. Which one is it that has assert that? That's a different library. Thank you, Jay. So I would say result dot should be, which it doesn't like, should be, should dot be 100. All right. And now that we've got everything working in terms of the project type, maybe live unit testing will work. And it does. Alright, so now we're ready to actually start doing stuff. So we change that to 100, everything's happy, we're good. Okay, now should return 200 given 2 ones. So let's just copy this. Returns 200 given 2 ones. 1 comma 1 should be 200. Yeah, there's too many fluent libraries. I jump around between nothing, shouldly, and fluent assertions, and so I can never remember which one's which. Okay, so now we gotta actually write some logic over here. So if die values dot count using link that equals 1, return that, return that, and we're green. Okay. What should it return if it's not a 1? It should return a 0, right? So we'll add another fact here. We're going to clean these up in a minute. So it returns 0 given single worthless value int val. Make this a theory. Inline data 2 should do the trick, and we want to say single value is just going to be val there, and it should be 0, and that's failing, so let's make that pass. We'll say if not die values dot any I equals 1, return 0. Okay, now that works, and 3 and 4 and 6 are all worthless as well. Okay. Viceni says that we need to publish the plugin as well because it's picking up a 4.0 dependency, probably because we hard-coded that. If we had used a project reference, like we're talking about doing now, that would probably fix it. If you do a pull request, I will accept it. Viceni. Alright, so then this all works. If we go back to our rules here, a single 5 is worth 50 points. So let's do a test for that. And so that's going to look a lot like this one. And so it returns 50 given single 5. Now I should probably be committing this more often. So let's do that before I do this. Alright. Undo one more time. There we go. Everything's good. Alright, so there's our version thus far. Jay says he'd love to see some better docs. I am working on that. That's why I just created a GitHub Pages thing for it, so I could write some nice pretty docs for it. Or pull requests are accepted, of course. Okay, so now I want to do the 5s. So we've got ones covered for 1 or 2 ones. So here we're going to say returns 50 given a single 5. Pass it a 5. Expect a 50. It fails. If it doesn't have any 1s, we immediately return 0. That's a problem. So I want to say this basically for a 5. So divals of 5, then make it 50, and that passes. Okay, now we can refactor this. No worries, Jay. We're kind of overdue to be refactoring this, but that's fine. So a couple things we can do. We can pull the scorer up into a common item. So private greed scorer underscore scorer equals new one of those. And then we can get rid of all this duplication and replace it with this. Get that. And everything is still green, so it's a little better. Let's do another quick commit. There we go. Now, testing multiple numbers of 1s or 5s is something we could certainly do with a single test. So returns 100 given, let's see, returns 100 per 1 fewer than 3. I know there's a rule coming up on that. Okay, and then this can just be a params int 1s, and this becomes 1s, and then this becomes, we'll say int expected value, and then this becomes expected value, and now this becomes a theory with inline data of 100, which ought to be close to working. Why is that not happy? Params must be the last parameter, that's right. So let's do the expected value first. Okay, now that's happy. And this can be 200 for 1, 1. Alright, so that eliminates the need for this test. And then this whole thing, I'm just going to copy right over the 5 test and rename that. And it should be 50 for 5 and 100 for 2 5s. And returns 50 per 5 fewer than 3. And let's call this 5s, and this can be 5s, and it doesn't work. Why doesn't it work? Well, because I only have it implemented for 1 5. So now we come in here, and we can see that it works for 1 5, but not for 2 5s. It says expected 100, but found 0. So really what I could say here is int 5 count equals die_values.count I such that I equals 5. And then I can say if 5 count greater than 0, return 5 count star 50. And now everything's happy. Alright, so it's totally not the code I want to end up with, but it works. So get rid of that, go back to that. May I ask what inspires you to stream to Twitch when you are coding? Well, I have a bunch of open source projects that I need to maintain, and normally I'm not doing katas and stuff on the stream, although I do occasionally. Like I say, I'm doing this because I need this for a Pluralsight course. if I were going to just work on my open source projects on my own, I'd just be working alone, and it'd be kind of boring and tedious sometimes, and it's harder to stay motivated. And if you get stuck, it's not social, right? Like, I'm not working with a bunch of people directly on that stuff. There's nobody, we're not going up to the whiteboard and working together. So this presents a way for me to do this a little bit more socially, and also it's a way to share, what I'm doing with the community, which helps. Maybe that gets a few more people following me on Twitter, or some more people sees this content ends up on YouTube, so maybe somebody finds it there. And at the end of the day, I mean, I make a living doing training and mentoring and courses and workshops. So, if somebody sees this stuff on Twitch or they see it on YouTube later, and they're like, oh, we need somebody that really knows TDD or DDD or C# or whatever, maybe they think of me, right? So it's a marketing thing as well as a bunch of other things. So I try and leverage my time for multiple things at the same time if I can. So I could just come on here and stream, and a lot of streamers are focused on building tools for their stream or maximizing their stream. They'll stream 10 times a week for 3 hours to maximize the value of their Twitch stream. I don't think my Twitch stream is ever going to pay my bills, so I will do Twitch just enough to generate content, and for me enough is a couple hours a week, and that goes on my YouTube channel, and it lets me devote some dedicated time to community time and updating open source stuff, which I need to keep up with anyway. So I have a lot of open source projects. So that's my main motivation for doing streaming, and trying to get synergy between that and other stuff I would be doing anyway, specifically open source. And then some people ask, hey, are you walking on a treadmill while you're doing that? And the answer to that is yes. And the reason is same as all the other stuff. Like, it helps me think sometimes, but also, hey, I don't have to go spend as much time walking on a treadmill not doing anything useful if I can do that while I stream, while I code. Obviously, multitasking is a bad thing if it requires you to focus on multiple things at the same time. And certainly I could complete this kata faster if I weren't taking questions from stream, comments, but my goal isn't to be as fast as possible with the stream. And generally the walking kind of helps me think too, and I can type and walk just fine. So it's not like it's detracting. And if it does, I just hit stop. And then that's easy. So, okay. So we're trying to do this pretty much pure TDD, and what that means is we're going to say make it work, then make it right. And eventually, if it's too slow, make it fast. So for any of you that are being picky about the fact that this is some really nasty, hard-coded, ugly code, you're right. And that's because we're not trying to make it perfect. We're just trying to make it pass the tests. And the goal with TDD is that you're just trying to write just enough code to make the test pass, and then refactor as you need to. And so, for instance, here at this point, I have refactored this to be a little bit cleaner. And I could do the same thing with the one count now. So let's see where we are. Got some stuff there, so let's do another commit. Cleaning up files. Push that up. Red-green refactor, yes, but also Kent Beck's rules for simple design, which is make it work, make it right, make it fast. So don't worry about how ugly it is at first, just get it to work. And make it right later. But later shouldn't be days later. Later should be a few minutes later. So that's now. Alright, so now we're going to say, take these two lines here, and we're just going to do the same thing for ones here. And we'll say one count is where they equal 1, and then take one count, if it's greater than 0, return one count, can't type, let's do that, times 100. Alright, now I should be able to just return 0 otherwise, and get rid of all this. And we should be green. And we are. So, that was weird. Visual Studio just disappeared. That was not your stream, that was my machine being weird. Alright, let's do another git add dot, git commit -m, refactor, read scorer, branch is up to date. Yeah. What now? Everything's up to date. Good. Oh, I didn't save it. That's why nothing was happening. Fine. Let's do this again. Do that. And then that. And then that. Better. So the fact that live unit testing doesn't actually require you to save bites me sometimes. Because I see that the test passed. I'm like, oh, I can commit. My tests are passing. But I didn't even save. Okay, so this is getting cleaner. Let's go back to our instructions. A single 1 is worth this, a single 5 is worth that. Now we get triples, we could start scoring that, but I want to see what happens if I have one of each, right? This should be 150, so let's do that one, because that's going to require us to rethink some things. So let's do a test. It could be a theory. And we say returns 150. Given 1 and 5. Okay? So this can be 1 and 5. This can be 5 and 1. And this can be die values. And we expect it to always be 150. Now things are just all messed up. So at this point we need to probably accumulate what the score is and increment it as we go. So we'll say int score equals 0. Instead of returning this, we're going to add it to, so score plus equal, oops, get out of there. And now that we're not just returning, I don't want it to be like it was. I want it to be in curly brackets. Score plus equal 5 count times 50. Same thing here. Score plus equal that. And instead of returning 0, we return score. And wonder why it doesn't work. Let's see. If we come in here with a 1 and a 5, then the count, 5 count, 1 count, 5 count, 1 count, that all looks good. So everything else passes, but not this one. Result, okay. That should be a 1. Well, let's just debug it. Right there. And this, debug, delete expected values argument. Oh yeah, that should be, you're right, that's messing me up. Good job, thank you. This is sucking up the first parameter, which I don't want it to. Alright, so my code was fine over here, just my test was goofed up. Thank you for sending. And we're good again. So now we can accumulate scores and we got a new case that works. -m test with one of each 1 and 5. Push that up. Alright, now there's a cool tool called Git History that you can use that I want to show you real quick. So if we're in here, which is my thing I've been doing, and we hit refresh, and if you guys want to see this yourself, this is it in the chat. I don't know if you can click it, probably not. But we can come in here, we can go find my greed scorer, and if you open this in Git History, there's a Chrome extension for Git History. If you don't have the Chrome extension, you can just go to this URL, github.gethistory.xyz, and then tack on the path to the thing that you want to look at. Alright, but then it has this really nice animated way of going through the history, and that's part of why I'm committing so often. So that you can come in and see, okay, we started out, we just returned 0. And then we go in here and we say, I skipped a few steps before I remembered to start committing. So here was my first commit that had an actual thing in it. So we just checked to see if we had one value We refactored that a little bit to get it cleaner, and we refactored it again so it works for 5s or 1s, and then finally we added score and the accumulator. So it's really pretty easy to see what you changed here with these animations using this. Alright, but now we need to do triples, right? So that's our next thing. Triple 1s are 1,000, and triple anything else is 100 times whatever that value is. So they're not the same exactly, but pretty straightforward. We can come back in here. We can write our test. 3 1s returns 1,000. These are all theories. I don't really have a fact anymore, so let's just do this here, and we'll say 1,000 for 1, 1, 1, and also, just to be extra clear, we're going to say it returns a 1,000 for 1, 1, 6. So expected value params returns 1,000 given 3 1s, no other scoring values. All right. There we go. So it's already failing because I don't have a special case for with the 1,000. So now we've got this 1 count, and we say if it's more than 0, we're going to do this. So you can bet that this is going to say expected 1,000, but actually got 300, right? Because 3 1s would be worth 300 with our current rules. But now we can say if 1 count equals 3, score plus equal 1,000. And these might pass? They don't pass. Why don't they pass? Then we also have to decrement 1 count. 1 count minus equal 3. We used up those 3 dice to do that. Because otherwise it's going to use them here too. Alright, so that's good. And then shoot, instead of 1,000, let's say returns triple 1 score given 3 1s and other scoring values and other values. Alright, so then what would it be if we added a 5? With a 5, we would expect it to be 1050, and I think that'll work, and it does, so that's good. Alright, so let's do a quick commit, adding support for triple 1s, like that. Alright, but now we need support for triple 2s here, so let's do that. Copy our test, and returns triple value given 3 2s through 6s, let's say. And so let's just do 200 for 2 and 2 and 2, and we'll start from there. So this becomes now die values again, which it really probably should have been here as well. Alright, and at this point, this triple 2 thing is not working for me. We kind of want to put these in order, right? So we should do the 1s first. So we'll pull the 1s out, put them here, and we can do the 2s. We can say int 2 count equal die values dot count I equal 2, and then we can say this right here. So if 2 count equals 3, score plus equal 200, 2 count minus equal 3, and then everything passes. Alright. But then we want to do it also with 3s. And we say those are worth 300. Alright, now this fails. And we can keep on going down this line, but that seems kind of silly. So now, how do I abstract out this logic, and also probably this logic, in a nice way, right? So I can do the counts for any number of different values. And so if I know the die values coming in, I can pass those to something and have it return back the die values that are left and a score. Or if I just knew the counts in some kind of a data structure, like a dictionary, then that would also work. But I'd like to be able to have some helper method that returns back the value for a given number of 2s or 3s or 4s or 5s or 6s that comes back with that number. So let's do, for now, let's do something simple. Let's say private int score triple die value int die value comma int count. So we'll still get the count outside, but if we have those things, we'll grab it. So there's my 2 count, and I can say now score plus equal score triple die value of die value 2 and 2 count, like that, right? But even better would be if I know that this greed score is only going to work on one set of die rolls at a time, which I do, I could even just pull the die values up into a field that I could work on, and then this method could operate on it directly. I think I might like that better. But let's get this working first. So now if the count equals 3, the score is going to be 200. So that just goes here. If count equals 3, return die value star 100. Then this can go away. We'll have to deal with that count issue later, but I don't have a test for it yet. Die value. Alright, something's not building. Not all code paths. Return a value. That's fine. Return 0. Otherwise, return 0. Okay, everything's red. Nothing's happy. Things are awful. I think it's because of those 3s. Let's do that. Now everything's happy. Alright, so we don't have 3s working yet. Count of 2s is just this, right? So we can say copy that, paste it there. I don't need 2 count as a variable anymore. So we just get that, and we can copy it. And we could say that works for 3. And we can uncomment this. And so close. That needs to be a 3. Alright. So build this. Everything's happy. Let's do another quick commit. Adding triple 2s and 3s. Okay, but we should see that this is starting to look repetitive. That could be a loop, right? So let's loop. Let's do a for loop for int I equals 2. Actually, I is a bad name here. Let's say int die value equals 2, die value less than or equal to 6, die value plus plus. And then here we're just going to do this. On here, we're going to get a count of whatever that die value is, and whatever that die value is here. And then we can get rid of that. And that works. Okay, now, where that's going to be a problem is if we try and do something where it's not exactly 3, but we're not there yet. So let's see if this thing works for 4 and 5 and 6, which it should. 4 and 5 and 6. 4 and 4 and 4 and 5 and 5, 5 and 6 and 6 and 6. And it's not happy. Probably because of that. That's why. Okay, so what's the problem? Everything but the 5s, I'm guessing, works. Let's verify. Yep, everything works but 5s. Why don't 5s work? Anybody following along? The problem is that over here we're going to still count this 5 count again, and it's still going to be what it was before, and that's not good. So because we didn't actually use up the 5s. So to make this work, we have to decrement the count of the 5s. So one way to get all those counts and put them in a data structure is have some dictionary of each die value and its count, and then adjust that dictionary as you go. So we could do that, and then this thing would have to access that. So let's try that. So I can use link to aggregate that. How would I do that? I want to do the select count, but I want to insert it into a data structure by value. I think I just need a dictionary of int comma int. So we'll say private dictionary of int comma int underscore die value counts equals new. There. And then we need a dictionary to actually be a thing, which it is. Okay, so then the very first thing we're going to do in here is we're going to load our dictionary. So we're going to say div for I equals 1, I, stop that, I less equal to 6, and we'll just add it to it. So we'll say die value counts dot add I comma die values dot count, and we can't use I here. We have to use, let's say, die equals I. Alright, now I've got this dictionary of counts. I don't need to check counts for anything anywhere else. If one count equals 3, that just becomes if die value counts sub 1 equals 3, then die value counts sub 1 minus equal 3, die value counts sub 1, die value counts sub 1. Oh, come on. Copy, paste. Alright. Now in here, when I want to get this count, it's really just die value count sub I. Die value count sub I. And in 5 count, I don't need anymore. That's just die value count sub 5. And one last time. Do that. And we've broken everything. I does not exist. It's because I made a die value. Alright, that really didn't work. Let's see. Everything but those 5 still works. Alright, now I know why. Okay, so when we do this, we also need to decrement those die value counts. So if we get here, instead of just returning, we need to actually consume those. Consuming them means we reduce the count. So here, we're going to say underscore die value counts sub die value minus equal 3. Now they're not there anymore. Now everything's happy. We can do this. And we're still not good. Oh, that's because I still have this. Die value count sub 5. Well, this isn't happy. Why are you not happy? Oh, because that's a return. I guess we do the decrement first. There we go. Now everything's green. Alright, so this is a good time to commit. That was a lot. So what did we do? We introduced die value counts structure. Introduced die value count dictionary. And refactored to use it. That's enough. Okay, so now that we've got this dictionary with the counts of all the dice, life is pretty easy. And in fact, we've really done the kata at this point, right? So all these things work. We have some example scores here. We want to make sure these work. So let's do a test with those. Go here. And we'll just say returns expected value from sample scores given, right? And there's 3 of them, and they are 11151, 1150. Okay, and this one is worth 0. And this one's worth 350. Alright. Let's run these tests individually and see what we missed. Alright, so 1150 didn't work. Found 450. Okay, so triple 1 followed by another 1 and a 5 didn't work. And for some reason it didn't find the triple 1 because it returned 450. Which would be like if it found 4 1s and didn't treat them specially. Which is weird. Alright, let's breakpoint this, and let's debug this. Okay, and this is really hard to see. Let's get this out of my way. It's a little better. Alright. Boom. Okay, so there's our die values. 11151. Oh, that's the dice that came in. I want the counts though. I want this. Counts. There we go. So there's 4 1s and 1 5. Okay, that's right. So now we come in here. Die value counts sub 1 is the second element. Alright, it's not sub 1, that's the index. I want to key number 1. That's annoying that the dictionary works like that. So this is an indexer. Do I have to do this? That's not it. How do I get the value at that thing? Dot get value. Try get value. It's almost like I'd be better off using an array instead of a dictionary. It's an interesting problem. 1 is going to be 0 because it's 0 index. This is supposed to be the key. Add. Alright, that's just weird. Let's try this again. Let's get rid of that. It says that's the key. Internal error retrieving local value. That's not helpful. Okay. Okay, so that's, oh, I see why. Got it. Alright, so I left this as a thing to get later, and I never did. Later is now. These can't be equal to, they have to be greater than or equal to. And that's going to be true on this one, and this one. There we go. And I just didn't have a test for that up to that point. Alright, so now that's happy. Everything's green. Rebuild. Yeah, it was throwing me on this. I was thinking that the index was off, but no, that wasn't the problem at all. Okay, so what do we do now? We added the sample problems. Added tests for sample results given. Alright, now this one and this one could really be their own separate little methods as well, right? And the score triple values really could go together too. Alright, that's a triple value, and this is a triple 1. And there's no reason why the triple 1 couldn't be its own thing as well at this point. So we could say private int score triple 1 value. I don't even need the count at this point, so I can get what I need from die value counts. In fact, this one doesn't need it either. So this just becomes here, take that out of there, and put it in here, where it's just going to return 1,000. Okay. Now I have to call that, which just replaces this, and the accumulator accumulates, and we get rid of that, and that's good, except for the fact that it's all red. Alright, if die value counts 1 greater than or equal to 3, die value counts minus equal to 3, return 1,000, that's all happy. Why did everything break? Oh, because I'm returning 1,000 every time. Nope. That goes in here, otherwise return 0. There we go. Okay. We don't need to pass in the count here anymore, just the die value. So we can get rid of this count. And this just becomes the same as this. And this becomes a little simpler. Okay, and then score single values can also be their own similar little methods. Triple 1, triple die. Score single 1 values. And this can really just be a return of die value counts. So 1, times 100, like that. And, well, I can't just return. I need to also get rid of those values so they're not used in something else. So int one count equals die value counts sub 1. Die value counts sub 1 equals 0. Return one count times 100. I guess this could be just score. Score equals this times 100. Return score. That's better. Alright, so then take this and replace this. That's better, I think. We'll do the same for 5s. Score single 5s is 5s times 50. Now these are turning into rules, basically. So we do that, and we come back up here and we say, here, score single 5 values, get rid of this, and it's happy again. This could probably be its own thing. Make this a private void load die value counts with the die values, like that. And then this just goes in here. Okay. Set the score to 0, add the triple ones, add the other triples, add the singles, done. That's not bad. So, dot, get commit, refactored, factored, read scorer, push that up. We got a few minutes left. Let's see if we can knock out an extra credit. So, the player may throw 1 to 6 dice at a time. So if you had 2 sets of 1s, or if you had a set of 3 1s and a set of 3 of something else, that should work. So let's do a 2 triples test. Returns expected value, expected score given 2 triples. So what would the expected score be for 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, 3? I think this already works. Okay. How about 1200 for 1, 1, 1. Alright, that works. Okay. So let's build that. And git add dot, git commit dash m, add tests for 2 triples with 6 dice. Now we want to do a 4 of a kind. Okay. Returns expected score given 4 of a kind. 2, 2, 2, 2 is worth twice as much, which is 400. And 3, 3, 3, 3. And 2 4s are worth nothing, so that's worth normally 300. Twice as much, 600. Okay, that doesn't work. We want to score triple fours, or triple value. May as well do triple ones as well, or quad ones. 1, 1, 1, 1. Alright, so score triple one value. We just want to make that a quad. Score quad 1 value if it's greater than or equal to 4. Take away 4, turn 2000. Score triple die value becomes score quad die value. This becomes just times 200, and this is going to use up 4 dice and 4 dice. And we just have to call those. Quad 1 value, quad die value. Now the order here is important. I don't want to do those after I've already pulled out triples. I have to do the quads first because they're worth more. These pass, these don't. I wonder why. Let's see which ones specifically fail. One of the samples. Expected to be 1150, but it's actually 2050. That's probably a mistake on my part. 11151. Oh no, that's their data. Yeah, alright, that changes later. So I'm just going to update that. We'll add a comment. Changes when 4 of a kind added. It's 2050, right? Yeah. Alright, everything's green again. Couple minutes left. Let's do just the straight, because that one's different. These other ones, 5 of a kind, 6 of a kind, those are all easy. 3 pairs is interesting as well. The straight's pretty easy though. You can just check for a straight. So let's just do that. It should be here. Say we need this. Make it a fact. Scores, returns 1200 given straight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Should be 1200. Let's say if die value counts dot values dot all d such that d equals 1 of each, and the count, well, no, there's always going to be 6 of them. That should work. Return 1200, but also set all of their values to nothing. For each var item in die value counts dot values. That's not going to work, is it? Let's just do a for loop. I equals 1, I less equals 6. Die value counts sub I. Could just set it to 0, but that's seems a little safer. keeps killing my screen when I save. That's weird. Otherwise, return 0. And it's all green. Added scoring of straights. Dire straights. Good push. Alright, so that was good. The next step, and the thing I would do in the Pluralsight course, is, like right now, this thing totally breaks the open-close principle. Every time I want to change this to add another type of score, I have to go in here, I have to actually edit this code, I have to inject stuff in the right place, I have to create new methods in here, and it's just constantly iterating on this. If we go back to the Git history on this here, and we hit refresh, you're going to see that we're just constantly hitting this file. Right? It's every time there's a new rule, it has to change. Now the open-close principle says, and you can check it out in my solid course on Pluralsight, that this stuff should be open to extension but closed for modification. What that means is I should be able to change how this thing scores without having to keep changing this method over and over again. And the way you would do that is you would encapsulate each one of these different rules that we're talking about, and instead of having it be a method that this method has to know about and call, it would be a separate individual rule class instance. And all this method would do is load the rule engine and then throw the die values into it and let the engine cycle through all of its rules and apply them. And when it was done, it would give you back a score. So this is sort of a hard-coded way to do the engine that I have to modify every time. If I had a general purpose rule engine, I could just add new rules to the set and they would just work. And I wouldn't have to change how I calculate them. The rule engine would just be I write it once and then leave it alone. And anytime I want to change things, I just add new rules. So it's a nice pattern to follow. Helpful stranger, maybe a bunch of funcs or an interface if you wanted to. Yeah, the rules could be funcs. The rules could be some interface like iRule or iScore rule or something like that. Definitely. And then you'd have a collection of those rules. You'd have some way to manage that collection. And then inside the engine, it would just loop through those rules. And depending on how what it is you're trying to build the rules for, it might be that the sequence matters. Like in this case, like I know that I want to score quad values before I score triple values, because I know that's going to give me a higher score. You don't necessarily always know that. Sometimes your rule engine needs to go through every possible combination and see which gives you the best score. Sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes you go through every rule and then you apply some aggregation on it, like max. Like you're trying to calculate customer discounts. The customer might be eligible for more than one discount. Maybe you get a senior discount, but you also get a veterans discount, but you also get a, I don't know, some other special, frequent flyer member discount. Each one of them gives them a different discount, but they should get the one that's best for them, right? And they shouldn't have to tell you which one they want to use, right? Your engine should do it. So technically the current is probably more efficient, but in nearly all cases more efficient is an over-optimized efficiency. Yeah, exactly. Not having an abstraction, not having a separate thing to manage rules will probably be faster in almost every case. But that speed usually doesn't matter. The thing to optimize for isn't always raw computing speed. If it were, we would just write everything in assembler, right? We wouldn't be writing in these higher level languages because they're so much slower than code that we would write in assembler. So, but developer productivity and maintainability of the application itself are both priorities in addition to and often in excess of the raw performance of a single method. All right, so that's all we have time for today. Maybe I'll pick this up some more next week and I'll refactor it to the rules engine, but probably I'm going to have to do that before next Friday so I can get it into my Pluralsight course. And then real soon you can watch it there. Let's turn off the sound here. Coding Garden has a lot of people. He's way more popular than me. But I think let's go see what James is working on. Ed usually finishes up at 2 o'clock, so if I send you there, he's going to be done the same time we are. So let's try James. So this thing should open this. I think I'm following James. So we can say we're going to raid thank you all for joining me this Friday. I hope you have a nice weekend. It's a long weekend potentially for folks in the U.S., if that matters anymore, since we're all supposed to be hunkered down and not going out anyway. James Montemagno, see what he's working on. I'm going to hop over and say hey to James. I hope you'll join me. If you guys want to be notified next time I go live, just hit the follow button, and I will see you next time. Thanks.